Нет, не слышно.
So now let's discuss a new topic concerned kinematics, and this topic is the principle of superposition of motion. Um, to explain what this principle is, and in fact this principle is a very obvious, and you have to understand it in order to be able to solve a huge number of problems and to understand how the laws of physics work. So to explain it better, I want to mention an example of ballistic motion. Uh, so imagine here is the ball, and we pushed it and it started flying that way, and we have the ballistic trajectory. We know how, in fact, how to describe such motion. We use the coordinate system y and x, the horizontal and vertical axis, and starts writing the vector equations uh, in projection to that axis. This is in fact what we call the principle of superposition of motion. So the motion in fact is very difficult here, is in fact quite difficult to describe. And then we have to answer the question, how can we simplify this difficult motion? What can we do in order to simplify it? Maybe we can divide this motion into pieces, into parts of motions and components of motions that would be easier for us to describe, the equations of which would be easier for us to analyze. So can we do something in order to simplify this problem by dividing this difficult motion into the pieces of motions, of easier motions? In fact, here, and this is what we do when we use the coordinate method to study the process that happens. We say that there are two motions that are independent of each other, and the first motion that happens with this body is the motion along the y-axis with the lower v sine v. Let me write it in that way. The start velocity multiplied by the sine of this angle minus gt squared over 2. So we know that the motion along the y-axis happens according to that law. And we can also write that the motion along the x-axis happen according to that law. So we have this system of equations. So what we have here, the real motion that we see is quite difficult. The trajectory is quite difficult. This is the paraboloid figure. And we have the task to simplify this problem, and to simplify it, we now study not this difficult motion, but we study two independent motions that happens with this body in the same period of time. The motion along y-axis with this law, and the motion along x-axis with this law. Both of that actions happen, both of these motions happen independently, but the result of the fact that both of these motions happen, the result of the fact that this body participates in both of that motions is what we see, is this very trajectory we have. So the principle of superposition is the principle that says to us any motions, any types of motions can be divided into the pieces, into the more easy kinds of motions, and it says to us that both of that parts of motions happens in the same time independently. The laws that describes these motions are independent, and they can have very different kinds. Yeah, so the equations can have different kinds, but the results of the fact that there's two or three motions happen in the same time is the trajectory we see in real life. So So this is the principle of superposition. I want to say that this principle have a physical sense. It's not just mathematics that we use to describe the processes that happen. It's not only about mathematics. This is about physics. This is about the physical principle we can use to simplify the motions. Using this principle, we in fact can simplify the